Children, congratulations to all of you for surviving last week's shooting and the one before that. May our Supreme Lord protect us, because God knows our Supreme Court will not. Which brings us to today's topic. Our nation's third branch of government, the judicial one. It's the only branch that isn't political. Yes, I am kidding. And so is the Supreme Court when they claim to impartially rule based on our laws instead of their politics. Because anyone who follows the court knows its justices vote along party lines with more predictability than the Republican Freedom Caucus or any other group of white supremacists. This makes the Supreme Court our most political branch of government. And what makes that a little bit dangerous is that it is also our most powerful, because it can drop kick even wildly popular laws made by the legislative branch into the trash can of history. The court can even do a 180 on its own firmly established laws, just as long as the justices lie about their intention to do so during their confirmation hearings. Wink, wink. And whereas every president in the executive branch only has 4 or 8 years to ruin America, Supreme Court justices can keep ruining it for decades until they literally die. Of course, they'll probably kill us first. With all that power and a lifelong position, they are as close as America ever gets to having kings, and in some cases, queens. Well, until the next insurrection, not 2020's practice one, the one that makes being a Republican president a lifetime position. Glory. And speaking of presidents who didn't win, 3 of the 5 justices in 5-4 rulings were appointed by a president who didn't win the popular vote and confirmed by senators representing a minority of Americans. That's because in an evenly split Senate, Republicans represent 41.5 million fewer people than the Democrats, and they still get to filibuster because in the Senate, dusty, deserted gulches have as much say about your rights as any metropolis. Quick! Who's the sexual predator on the court?
Trick question. There are 2 of them.
And speaking of not giving women a choice, Clarence Thomas was also confirmed by senators representing a minority of Americans. Refuse to recuse Thomas is so corrupt, he takes cash from people with business before the court via his crazy wife, Ginny's mailbox that calls itself a consulting firm. So, the majority of the court is there with the approval of a minority of Americans. Goodness, minority rule doesn't get much more potent than 5 people overruling 81,282,916. The court has always had 9 justices, as set by the Constitution.
Numbers set by Congress. Started with just 6, changed to 9 to match the 9 judicial circuits. There are now 13 judicial circuits.
6? The highest court in the land and an even number of justices? And no, rock, paper, scissors in the Constitution to break a tie. Honestly, I don't know why we revere the founders. Because when they weren't being very racist, they were being kind of stupid. The Supreme Court's biggest job is being the final word on what the U.S. Constitution means. And by that, I mean just repeating whatever the Federalist Society told them it means, like be against states' rights when it comes to guns on Thursday, but for states' rights when it comes to abortion on Friday. The conservatives on the court call themselves originalists, It's sort of a judicial version of fundamentalism, and with similar results. Originalists look at the intent of the writers of the Constitution. For example, farmers in 1789 wanted every American to own laser guided assault rifles, even when bullets wouldn't be invented for another 40 years. Now, that's the gift of prophecy, children. Fun fact: people who divine the intent of the writers of the Constitution are a lot like people who divine the intent of the writers of the Bible. They almost always conclude that the writers wanted them to do exactly what they were going to do all along. Just a wild coincidence. Now, granted, basing our current rights on the original intent of misogynists cool with slavery is a questionable approach to jurisprudence. After all, in determining the healthcare rights of women today by looking at the original intent of long dead white men who lived in a time when women had no rights and whose healthcare involved being treated with leeches instead of antibiotics, seems an excellent recipe for killing them. A justice who uses his political agenda to rule for Democrats is called an activist judge. A justice who uses his political agenda to rule for Republicans is called a strict constructionist or originalist, like in 2008 when Antonin Scalia, may he rest in wherever, ruled that the words that expressly start the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, should just be ignored. Yes, half the words in a 27-word amendment were never meant to have any meaning whatsoever. Just written to be forgotten, like the last 3 verses of the Star-Spangled Banner. In doing so, Scalia trashed over 200 years of Second Amendment law because of something he had read in an NRA pamphlet. But the court's partisan pistol-packing Puritans weren't finished ditching precedent to put American lives in jeopardy. They recently ruled that states have no say when a man wants to carry a gun to shop, just when a woman doesn't want to carry a baby to term. This court believes that it violates personal liberty when you're forced to deliver a cake for a gay person, but not when you're forced to deliver a baby for your father or rapist. Now, some may question the wisdom of men providing mandates forcing women to give birth when those same men refuse to provide her or the child with any health care. But sometimes conservative Christians have to kill a few mothers to prove how pro-life we are. Children, if anyone asks, remember the party line is, "I don't know why the libs are so upset. The court just returned the issue of abortion to the states." Just don't say out loud the part about, as soon as we get our hands on the House and Senate, we're going to take it right back. Glory.